We have an important message to first-time home buyers. Stop thinking like a consumer. Most people shop for their first home the same way they shop for a car, a couch, or vacation. They focus on emotional appeal. But your first home is not a product to consume. It's a financial asset that will shape your family's future for decades. If you shift your mindset from consumer to investor, it won't just change your life, but likely the lives of your children and your grandchildren, possibly even your great-grandchildren.
Okay, so first, what is wrong with thinking like a consumer? When you think like a consumer, you prioritize marble countertops over school districts. You obsess over cosmetic details instead of long-term appreciation potential. But when you think like an investor, you start evaluating location, job growth, resale value, rental potential, and neighborhood trajectory. That's the mindset that builds generational wealth. A consumer asks, do I love it right now? An investor asks, will this set my family up for success 10 years from now? That's a completely different lens.
The biggest mistake first-time home buyers make is trying to buy their forever home right now, right out of the gate. That pressure leads to overextending financially or waiting far too long for perfection. Investors don't wait for perfect. They look for strategy. Your first home doesn't need to check every single lifestyle box. It needs to be in a strong area at a smart price point with potential to appreciate over time.
Think about it this way. Wealthy families rarely build wealth by consuming luxury. They build it by owning assets. Real estate is one of the most powerful wealth building tools available because it combines leverage, appreciation, and forced savings. Every mortgage payment builds equity. Every year of appreciation increases net worth. And over time, that equity can be leveraged into your next investment.
So when you start thinking long-term, you stop obsessing over whether the kitchen is Instagram worthy and start asking bigger questions. For example, is this neighborhood growing? Are there new businesses moving nearby? Are infrastructure projects planned? Is this area likely to be more desirable in 5 to 10 years than it is today? Those and many more are the investor questions, and those answers matter far more than the backsplash tile.
Another major shift is understanding resale from day one. Even if you plan to stay long-term, life changes. Job transfers happen, families grow, opportunities arise. An investor-minded buyer thinks about who the next buyer will be. Is this floor plan functional? Is it in a strong school zone? Is it near major employment centers? Buying with resale in mind protects you from emotional decision-making later.
Cash flow thinking is important too. And if you don't plan to rent it immediately, ask yourself, if I had to rent this home out, would the numbers make sense? Could it at least cover the cost of most of the mortgage? And that mindset forces you to evaluate price to rent ratios and avoid overpaying. So even if you never do turn it into a rental, you're protecting yourself by buying something that makes financial sense beyond just your own occupancy.
One of the most powerful concepts for first-time buyers is delayed gratification. The investor mindset says, I'll sacrifice a little now for greater freedom later. Maybe that means buying a slightly smaller home. Maybe it means choosing a neighborhood that's up and coming instead of fully established. Those decisions might not feel glamorous today, but they can dramatically impact your net worth 10 to 15 years down the line.
Yeah, so now let's talk about leverage, because this is where real estate becomes incredibly powerful. You're actually controlling a large asset with a relatively small down payment. So if a $400,000 home appreciates at just 4% per year, that's $16,000 in value in 1 year alone. You didn't have to invest $400,000 to get that return. You leverage a portion of it. Over time, that compounding effect becomes significant.
Okay, so compare that to renting. When you rent, your monthly payment builds zero equity. You're consuming housing. When you own, your payment is partially principal reduction, which increases ownership stake over time. Even in slower markets, that forced savings component quietly builds wealth. 10 years go by faster than you think. And disciplined ownership during that time can change your financial trajectory.
Here's another investor principle: buy based on fundamentals, not fear. Markets move in cycles. There will always be headlines predicting crashes and/or booms. Long-term thinkers focus on economic strength, population growth, and supply and demand balance. If you buy in a fundamentally strong market and hold through cycles, time does most of the heavy lifting for you.
And when you think generationally, the conversation shifts even further. Equity built in your first home can fund your second property. That second property might become a rental. That rental could help fund your child's education or supplement retirement. What starts as a modest first home can turn into a portfolio over decades if you approach it strategically.
So the truth is, your first home is less about lifestyle optimization and more about financial positioning. You can upgrade finishes later, you can renovate, you can move up, but you cannot go back and reclaim years of missed equity if you wait too long or overspend on the wrong property.
This does not mean ignore comfort entirely. You should still enjoy where you live, but balance emotion with math. Balance excitement with strategy. The investor mindset blends heart and head, not just heart alone.
And also understand that appreciation doesn't require perfection. The nicest home on the block often has less room to grow. Sometimes the better investment is a solid, well-located home that needs minor cosmetic updates. Improvements can be added over time. Location and land cannot.
Okay, let's talk about discipline. Investor-minded buyers set a budget and they stick to it. They avoid stretching to the absolute maximum approval amount. They keep reserves. They plan for maintenance. That financial cushion protects you during economic shifts and keeps your assets from becoming a burden.
Over a 20 or 30-year horizon, small strategic decisions compound massively. Buying slightly below your means, choosing a growth corridor instead of a fully built-out luxury area, holding through temporary downturns. All these moves might not feel exciting in the moment, but they build stability and optionality for your family's future.
Generational wealth is not built overnight. It's built through consistent, intentional decisions over time. Real estate has historically been one of the most reliable vehicles for that wealth creation. But only if you treat it like an asset, not just a consumption item.
Yeah, so if you are a first-time home buyer watching this, here's the key takeaways. Stop asking, is this my dream home today? And start asking, will this move me closer to financial freedom tomorrow? That shift alone will put you ahead of the majority of buyers in this market.
When you think like an investor, you're not just buying a house, you're planting a financial seed. If you nurture it, stay patient, and think long-term, that seed can grow into opportunity, not just for you, but for your kids and even their kids.
Your first-time home is more than a place to live. It's the foundation of your balance sheet. Make the decision with clarity, discipline, and long-term vision, and you won't just own real estate, you will build a legacy.